Hello everyone, welcome to Math Explained, and today we're going to be solving quadratic equations. So let's get started. So this is our first example, and we have this quadratic equation. We know it's quadratic because our x here has a power of 2. So we know that we're going to have two solutions based on our x's power. Okay, so when factoring by grouping, our first step is going to be multiplying our a. So this is our a, this is our b, and this is our c. So we're going to multiply our a and c. So basically this x, you might think, oh, it doesn't have a number, but it does have a coefficient of 1. So we're just going to multiply the coefficients. So 1 times 2 gives me 2. So now that I have these two numbers, these two multiples, I want to add them and then give me a result for the b. So 1 plus 2 equals 3, so this is great. This is only the multiples that we had for 2 and 1, but for example, let's say this was a negative 3. So we have to find a negative. So we can actually add negative numbers. The most important thing is that we always multiply. So we multiply and add. But we can find numbers like negative 1 times negative 2 equals 2, positive. So negative 1 plus negative 2 equals negative 3. So you can always modify these numbers as long as it gives you the answer of these two numbers we're multiplying, and it gives you the answer for this when you add them up. Okay, so now that I know that 1 and 2 give me 2, right, multiplying, and when it adds, it gives me 3, I know I can use these numbers to solving my quadratic equation. So I'm going to group these numbers here, so I'm going to just add them there. So instead of using a 3x, I'm going to cancel that. We're just going to do x squared plus 1x, or you can just do x plus 2x plus 2. So you see how these two still equal to 3, because when you add 1x plus 2x, it gives you 3. So we're just basically expanding the equation a little bit more so we can do this next step. So our next step is going to be using our parentheses here. And we want to simplify this a little bit more. So I'm going to factor out these numbers and just make them more simpled out. So here I have two x's, right? What can I do? I can put an x here, then x plus 1, right? Because x times x equals x squared, and x times 1 gives me 1x. So it's just the same thing. We're just expanding but simplifying our parentheses here. So let's do the same thing on our other parentheses. So now I have a 2x plus 2. What can I find, a number here that I can multiply outside, a number here, and when it multiplies, it gives me these two numbers. So let's see a number that it has in common. We have a 2 and a 2. So why don't I put a 2 here and then an x plus 1, right? Because 2 times x equals 2x, and 2 times 1 equals 2. So now that we notice a pattern, right? We have these two numbers in parentheses the same. And we always have to do that when grouping. It has to be the same numbers in both parentheses. Because now we're going to use this and we're going to put this as a parentheses 1. And we're going to group these numbers together. So we have an x, a positive x, and a positive 2. So we're going to do x plus 2 here. And here, I'm just going to equal it to 0. and solve for x. Okay, so now let's do minus 1, x equals -1, and then minus 2, x equals -2. And now I found my answer, so x is equal to -1 and -2, because remember we have to have two solutions because it's a quadratic equation. Okay, so our next problem is going to be x squared minus x minus 2. So we have to identify our A, B, and C, right? So this is our A, this is our B, this is our C. So our first step is going to be multiply the A and the C. So remember, when we have an x, no, it's not like, oh, there isn't no number. No, we have to put a 1 because next has a coefficient of 1. So we're going to do 1 times -2, which equals -2. Now, we have to find, with this -2, we have to find multiples that add up to our b, right? So let's see, if we do -2 plus 1, it'll give us -1. So it gives us the coefficient here because remember this has a coefficient of 1. So these work because -2 times 1 equals -2, and -2 plus 1 equals -1, which is our b. So this one will work perfectly. Now let's put it in our equation. So we'll do x squared minus -2 plus x, or you can do 1x, and minus 2. Now we put our parentheses here, and then we have to factor out. So what do these have in common? They have an x, so we put our x here, x minus 2, because x times x equals x squared, and x times -2 equals -2, so it's right. And here, remember, we have to have the same parentheses in this one too. So we have here 1 and a 2, so we can do 1, right? Then 1 times x equals 1x, and 1 times -2 equals -2. So our parentheses are the same. This is correct. Now put x minus 2. And remember, we put these two numbers together. So x, and this is a positive 1, so x plus 1. And then we equal it to 0, each parentheses. So x minus 2 equals 0, x plus 1 equals 0. Then we do plus 2, and then minus, because remember, it's a plus, so we have to minus to cancel it out. And since this is a minus, we have to do a plus to cancel out. So x equals 2 here, and here it goes -1. So this is our answer. Okay, so now for our next problem, we see here a b, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, they're all just variables, so we just have to find what b equals to. Again, we have a b squared, so we are going to have two solutions. So let's get started. Let's label our things. This is an A, this is a B, and this is a C. Now we have to multiply our A's and B's. So 1, because remember this is basically just the 1. And then we have a -8. So -8, which equals -8. Okay, but also we can do -1 times 8, right? Times a positive 8, which will give us -8. So which one should we choose? Should we do 1 plus -8? Because it has to give us 7, remember? It has to give us our b. Or should we do 8 plus positive 1 and -1? I think we should do this one because 8 plus -1 equals 7, positive 7. So this is perfect. So we can use these numbers. We can do 8 and -1 because it equals -8, which is our A times our B, our C, and it equals to our B when we add them up. So let's put in our equation. Here we have B squared plus 8B minus B, so and then 8 minus 8. What do we do now? We put our parentheses. Remember, this is all equal to 0. All equal to 0. So B squared, we have in common our B, so let's just put our B here. B plus A, because B times B equals B squared, and B times 8 equals AB. And then we look here, we have a negative and a negative, so we can put a negative here, a -1, right? And then our B, because -1 times B equals -B. And we can put a plus 8 because a -1 times a positive 8 equals -8. So now we have our equation here, B plus 8. And then we put these together, so B minus 1 equals 0. Now we put B plus 8 equals 0, B minus 1 equals 0. Then we solve here plus, remember, because we have a minus, so it's 1, B equals 1. Then here minus, because we have a plus here, minus 8, B equals -8. So these are our answers. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys learned how to do factoring by grouping. I love this method with solving quadratic equations. I think it's the easiest one. You might see that it is a lot, but keep practicing, keep watching the video if you don't get it, and practice. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day.